If you're an experienced recruiter, I reckon managing deals at the end, what we call the twilight, could probably net you another $100,000 to $200,000 in deals per annum, easily, right? So we have a thing in our office where we're all very senior recruiters. We've all been around the bush. We don't need to spend a lot of time on the generation side of things. We do talk about those things, but where I get involved with deal making with people in our office is more at the end of the process. We call that like the twilight zone, the management. We go, okay, we're kind of at the end here. We're about to get the offer. Let's go and talk. Let's go and unpack this deal, and let's just make sure we tie it up nice and tight before we get to the end and close it all out. There's a few tools in our arsenal that we use, right? There's a few, we call it the playbooks. You got some plays that we might run, or we've got some, tips or tools that we might think of. It's really just going, okay, I've got this candidate. They've had 2 interviews. They've had 3 companies they've met. They're on this at the moment. They're in this sort of firm. Here's their motivation for leaving. This is what they're looking for. I think this is the one they're going to take. We've got a client who wants them as well. Here's what the offer's likely going to be. What's the best play to close this up? It's that sort of stuff, right? And if you're a sole recruiter, really hard to have that outside perspective on your deal. So it really does pay to have someone like me or whoever to help, do deals with you. But there is a tool, there's a play in there that I want to pull out. There's one there that I think I use quite often. That's quite handy. It's quite handy, right? So we call it the triangle of influence. And it's not even just an end of deal play. It's something that you need to have in front of mind the whole way through a deal. And that triangle of influence, I want you to think of a triangle, and I want you to think of the 3 parties at each end of those tips. So in one corner is you, one corner is the client, one corner is the candidate. Okay, and it's just an equal triangle. And there will be times in that deal, let's say it's at the beginning of the deal, where the triangle flattens out. You want to inject yourself between the client and the candidate quite a lot. You want to make sure that it's set up right. You've interviewed the candidate. You then talk to the client, go, hey, I've got this person. I want you to meet them. Great, fantastic. See the CV. Let's go and do that. Then the client comes back to you and says, cool, let's organize a time. So then you go back to the candidate, you organize a time. You get that time, you go back to the client, you organize that, you set that up, go. Then they go and they meet. And then they sit there for an hour. They do the interview. Then they leave. Then you call the client, you get the debrief. Then you call the candidate, you get the debrief. Then you compare notes, and then you go and do it all again to set it up for interview 2 and offer and all that sort of stuff. You're probably in the middle of that process most of the way, because as recruiters, we want to kind of be in control of that. That's our default status. Let's call it our default sort of status. Where we get a little bit creative with this stuff is sometimes you sit back from a deal and go, I've got to take myself and my ego out of this for a moment. What's best for the deal? What is best for the candidate and client? And sometimes in that triangle of influence, the worst thing you can do is actually be in the middle. Sometimes you've got those clients who are really good at selling, or sometimes you've got those candidates who don't want to hear from you. They actually need to hear it from the horse's mouth. So they'll hear what you're saying. You get that feeling of like, oh, they're just taking it as a grain of salt. Or you might have a candidate where you're doing all of the negotiating with them, but they've got another option outside of your influence that they've done directly with the client, and they've got this nice, close interaction happening with that company. You're thinking, shit, I need to compete with that. I need to warm this up. I need to get them more familiar and happy and comfortable with my client. The last thing they need is more of me. They actually need more of the client. So when you have this logic of the triangle of influence, right? And again, default mode is recruiters like to sit firmly in between the client and the candidate as this deal tracks along. Sometimes, for the betterment of the deal, you need to think, am I just in the way here? Should I just get out of the way for a moment and let the client and the candidate talk? And this has happened to all of us, right? Where you go, geez, the client and the candidate, they are really like just pushing this thing along themselves. They're organizing interviews themselves. They're doing meetings. Oh, no, we've had a second follow-up. I've asked that question. And they're doing a lot of that directly. Now, I think for the right deal, for the right people, and knowing your client's good at this sort of stuff, and knowing the candidate's not going to do something silly, that can be quite handy to do. And knowing when you need to pull yourself out of that triangle of influence or inject yourself back in. So, and that might be the opposite, right? So you might give them a little patch where they're just running it and going. But we all know that clients can run themselves into a hole. Or so can candidates. Overthink, overtalk, overcommit, undercommit, not say the right thing. They think they're saying the right thing, they're actually saying the wrong thing. And that's when we want to inject ourselves back in. So when I'm twilighting with these deals and we're looking at it and you're thinking, what are we up against? Sometimes the best thing to do is say, well, I think the candidate's actually got way too many outstanding questions at offer stage. If we put an offer in front of them, it's going to be overwhelming. I don't think they're going to jump to saying yes because they're going to have more questions. So I'd actually hold the offer, get an understanding of what that looks like, but get enough questions out of them to say, I need you guys to talk again. It's almost like a third interview, but you let them talk. So pull yourself back out of that influence, that triangle of influence. Let them connect on those questions and tie off all those loose ends. Then inject yourself back in between the client and the candidate. So it's a moving thing, right? I don't think it's ever a static, I'm in between the client and the candidate at any given time. When you got clients, they say, oh, do you mind if I just send this directly to them? Sometimes you say, don't send it to them directly. They're not ready for it. Send it to me. I'll manage that. The goal is to get this person for you. Or sometimes you go, I have no problem with you sending it. They're already closed. They want the job. They've accepted it verbally as long as it's X, Y, Z. In terms of an offer and whatever, I'm happy for you to do that directly. In fact, I think that strengthens the risk, strengthens the mitigating of the risk of a counter, because all of a sudden, if they're dealing directly with the client and, they've given them their word that they're coming on board and then that counter offer comes in, it's a lot harder for the candidate to pull away from a client that they've met a lot and had a lot of communication with, as opposed to a recruiter. Okay, so the triangle of influence, it's a great one. It's a great little framework, and whenever you're looking at your deal thinking, what does this deal need more or less of? What was going to help this thing along? Just think, have I been too in the middle between these two? Do they need to warm it up? Or are they getting are they staying, the opposite is they're saying stupid shit to each other. You just go, oh, both of you this is a great fit for both of you, but you're talking at different things. You definitely need to inject yourself back in, okay? Triangle of influence, a really good one. Easy concept to visualize, but it's a good one. That's one of the tools. I'm going to pull out a couple of these playbooks and tools because I think closing deals is something that people want to do more of, right? How often do we get to an end of a deal and it doesn't happen? If we can just save more of those, man, 100, 200K a year extra, easily. So we're going to do more of those episodes. So like this one, share it, subscribe, because you're going to get alerts when these come out and you're going to want to see them because these are the ones that are going to make you more money. You've already done all the work. You're already a good recruiter, but you're losing deals unnecessarily. So let's do the plays. Let's go through the plays, okay? So they're coming up. So keep like, share, subscribe. Helps us grow. As always, have an amazing day and may all your deals come true.